If Godzilla is a god, and Kong is a king, then Gamera is a guardian. In the world of kaiju franchises, the giant turtle has been overshadowed by his more mainstream counterparts like Godzilla. But with the recent announcement that Netflix will be releasing a brand new Gamera anime series next year, we may finally be seeing the monster get his time in the spotlight. By the way guys, go ahead and let me know if you want more Gamera videos down below in the comments. You guys are funny. Thank you. So we're gonna go over just how massive Gamera reached at his peak in the franchise, and cover some of his badass attacks, of course. But first, let's get to know more about the turtle in a full shell. First appearing in 1965, Gamera was originally just like Godzilla in the fact that he wasn't a guardian but a threat to humanity. But over time, just like the G-Man, Gamera slowly changed from just a hostile kaiju to something more along the lines of a guardian of Earth. The similarities between Godzilla and Gamera don't stop there. Now just to clarify, Gamera is not made by Toho, the folk who made Godzilla. That's why you never have seen the two in the same movie before. But you can clearly tell that the creators of Gamera took a heap of inspiration from the Goji films when bringing the big turtle to life. It's like if Godzilla was Gatorade, then Gamera must be Powerade. Pretty much the exact same thing with a different creator and label, but don't tell them or their fans that. In total, Gamera has gone on to have 12 films made in its nearly 60-year existence. Gamera was first awoken from his Arctic slumber due to an atomic blast during a fictional setting where the Cold War between America and the Soviets had boiled down to an actual war. Not much else is known about Gamera's origins during the Showa period, but it's thrown around in the lore that he is part of a larger species of giant beings who defended the lost city of Atlantis. Now, the American version of the first film changed the origins to something that sounds more like a MonsterVerse origin story than a classic kaiju flick, stating that Gamera was from a time on Earth where the creature didn't need to breathe oxygen, and instead survived off of what is most commonly referred to as gasoline, something that plays a part in the beast's primary attack, but we will get to that later in the video. A part of Gamera's character that came to life in the first movie and continued onward was the monster's appreciation for children. I know it sounds creepy, but hear me out. Now this might be a reason why Gamera is not held in the same tongue as Godzilla amongst, the normies out there. If you didn't know anything about the Gamera story, it's hard to imagine many adults out there, like Marvel fans or something, being intrigued by a monster who has a deep emotional connections to little kids. Just joking, Marvel fans, calm down. But once you actually allow yourself to get to know Gamera in his movies, you see that his connection with children is nowhere near as silly as it sounds on paper.
2 violent action figures! These babies are packed with mutant attack powers!
My lord, I'm afraid the storm, it damaged our pitiful fences. All of the animals have escaped. The chickens, the sheep, even the velociraptor.
Don't like the sound of that last one.
Well, he's all the way off in those trees. I shall go fetch him at once, my lord.
Okay, but be careful now. You mean an awful lot to me. You and your family, especially your pregnant wife and 3 small children.
Life is precious.
Especially your life. Remember, you've got a weak little heart.
I think we've established a suspicious amount of backstory.
Jesus fucking Christ! I did not see that coming!
If you would like to help protect Scotland's ecosystem with organisations like One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future, then follow the link in the description and use code DVIL10 for 10% off your order.
The new power of Godzilla.
The Heisei era made sure to dial in the origin story for Gamera, this time giving him a full-on descriptive backstory and reason for existence. It said he was created by the lost Atlantis civilization, just like the old lore, as a sort of bioweapon to combat one of their people's prior creations, a deadly monster called Gauss. After the monster had gone rogue and began to destroy everything around it. After the Heisei era was done, Gamera had its last appearance in the early thousands in Gamera the Brave. which was a standalone movie that only had slight connections to all previous lore for Gamera, instead choosing to focus on a more personal story between a young boy who randomly stumbles upon a turtle egg that hatches and grows to become anything but ordinary. So in this monster breakdown, we're gonna go over how large, how intelligent, and most importantly to any kaiju, how destructive Gamera was. Just like Godzilla, Gamera has always had an evolving total body size that changes between each era of movie the character stars in. Showa era had Gamera listed at around 60 meters or 197 feet tall and weighing 80 metric tons. Heisei Gamera was juiced up a bit, now reaching 80 meters or 262 feet in height and coming on the scale at 120 metric tons. In the standalone film, Gamera the Brave, the beast was the shortest it had ever been, 30 meters or just under 100 feet tall, but what it lacked in height it made up for in thickness, a drastic leap to 1,200 metric tons in weight. Appearance-wise, Gamera has stayed consistent overall, a giant bipedal turtle with a rigid shell. But some iconic features for the monster are its tusks located on its jaw and its very human-like eyes and hands. Overall, Gamera looks like a giant prehistoric take on a snapping turtle. Don't let his appearance fool you. Gamera is no slow-moving turtle. In terms of cool abilities and special attacks, the Guardian, believe it or not, might have more going for him than Godzilla. He can fly by pulling his head, arms, and legs into his shell, and then magically spewing fire out of the holes like a rocket. Gamera is able to spin like a frisbee and create enough lift to allow the monstrous beast to fly long distances. In some instances, he could then bring his limbs back out and then use them as wings of sorts to glide with extra control. Like mentioned earlier, Gamera has spikes over his body that can be used in combat. On top of his vast assortment of physical attacks, Gamera has his own variation of Dragon's Breath. In the Showa era, he was able to spew red-hot fire out of his mouth when the circumstances were just right. In the Heisei era, this ability was amped way up, now firing a plasma ball out of his mouth like he was Mario or something. In a way, Gamera in this era was a firebender of sorts, as he was able to absorb it from other monsters' attacks and use it against them. One time in the lore, after removing his own hand like a badass, Gamera was able to catch an incoming plasma attack with his stub, use his special mana to turn his nub into a flaming fist, and then he one-shot his enemy with a punch to the chest. And we can't forget his strongest attack, the ultimate mana blast, an ability that was so powerful, it's said that Gamera could only do it once in a lifetime due to its destructive nature. All those special attacks piled on top of a kaiju who has a natural shield on its back. And you can see why Gamera was no monster to be trifled with. So side by side, do you think Gamera compares to the big G-Man? And I don't mean like any specific Godzilla like the Monsterverse one or anything like that, just overall as a famous kaiju. Trust me guys, I know it's hard to go against Godzilla, but if any other kaiju could be on the same level as the king of the monsters, it's Gamera, the lord of the monsters. So thank you all for watching this video and I hope you enjoyed it. To all my American friends, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving week. Christmas is right around the corner next, so if you haven't checked out our merch, head on over now to see what we have to offer for the holidays. We got some brand new designs that I think any kaiju or Monsterverse fan in your family or, circle would really love. Anyway, guys, this has been Jacob. Go have yourself a good day or whatever you're doing, and I will see you in the next one.